Welcome on in to a live edition of Falcons Today. Matthew Peterson here getting you guys ready for NFL Week 8, Atlanta versus Tampa. Plenty to discuss on today's episode. We've got some important injury news to look at, and then we're also going to check out some realistic trade targets because I know it's fun to daydream about maybe Myles Garrett or Max Crosby coming down to ATL. That's probably / definitely not going to happen. So how about some guys they actually could get? Now, who you got, by the way, for Sunday? I would say NFC South is going to be determined this game. I mean, if the Bucs win, the Falcons are not out of it just because the Buccaneers are so banged up without Godwin and Evans that they may not be able to hold that lead. But if the Falcons sweep the Buccaneers, they'll have that tiebreaker on them. So the Bucs will feel like they're always 2 games back because a tie would go to Atlanta anyway. So who you got? Falcons versus Bucs. Get in the chat right now. Let me know who you think is going to win. I got the Dirty Birds. I'm taking the Falcons. Let me know what you got, though. Bossy Bird taking Atlanta. Joe Z taking the Falcons. Jim Frake taking the Falcons. That ATL ho, love to see it. P3 rise up. Jordan Daniels taking the Falcons. Dark Ham as well. Pretty much everyone's got the Falcons. As Bentley! Whoa! What a start! Bentley Lancaster, where they won $100 super chat. Bentley, 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 Bentley. Bentley Lancaster, what's up? Rise up. We need pass rush. Terry, if you're watching, I know you're watching, listen to Bentley. Go get a pass rusher. November 5th, Election Day, but also trade deadline day. Get a pass rusher by then, please. Come on. Holy smokes, Bentley. You know, right before we went live, I looked to Reed, and I was like, you know what we have after the live show? And he looked at me like, oh, what more crap does Matthew need me to do? And I was like, nothing, the weekend, baby. He's like, let's go. What a start to the weekend right here, Bentley.
Bentley,
cheers to you, man.
Amazing.
Let's get Bentley added to the Dirty Birds Club. I don't think Bentley's on the Dirty Birds Club. No, no, no. Unless I'm really, really bad at my job, I don't remember seeing Bentley on the Dirty Birds Club. Bentley, though, rise up indeed. Appreciate you. Everyone show Bentley some love right now. Let's have ourselves a Thursday. What do you guys say? Let's get a nice primer into the weekend. Pick up a win on Sunday. 5-3. 4-0 in the division. Sweeping the Bucs. The only competition for this team in the NFC South. Bentley's $100 super chat, by the way, that is 1st and 10. Atlanta starts with the football. 75-yard touchdown to Darnell Mooney. That is Darnell Mooney just getting behind the corner, and the safety gets caught out of position, and that's a bomb of a touchdown, and it's all because of Bentley. You just scored the Falcons' first touchdown of the game. That is your doing. Let's go, Bentley. Oh, my gosh, yeah. Not that I know what that looks like, but I couldn't say I've been there before. I've seen other guys do it, but I'm always in the back with a big towel, you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so while you get Bentley added to the Dirty Birds Club, Reed, I will get in trouble if we don't tell everyone about Prize Picks. So we have an awesome sponsor. Bentley, appreciate you more than you realize, though. Rise up, Mr. Bentley Lancaster from ATL. Quick shout out to our sponsor as well, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 10 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So download the app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay, Bentley, Thank you once again. Rise up. Everyone keep showing Bentley some love in the chat. I also saw we got another super chat in, so we'll peek at that as well. As Trucker Mike 404, ATL all day. All right, I'm going to take a big guess here and say Trucker Mike might be a trucker. So I want to play a game with Trucker Mike. Can I guess either what state or what highway you are on right now? I think I might spread my chips a little bit, but I'm going to say Trucker Mike right now is on, let's go with I-30. I'll take the south, and then I'll spread my chips up north and say he's in Nebraska. Trucker Mike would love to get some responses as to where your truck is located. ATL all day, ATL ho, rise up, buddy. Wow, what a start to the show. Did not see that coming. We have a lot to get to on today's episode, on today's live show. Some injury news for the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Very, very important injury news, which I want everyone seeing to know. And we're going to look at some realistic trade targets because I don't want to just give you guys a whole bunch of long shot, unrealistic targets and then have everyone be disappointed when they don't get Myles Garrett. It's why I haven't really talked about Myles Garrett or Max Crosby much at all over the last 10, 14 days or so because neither one of those guys I think is going to get dealt. But there are some other pass rushers who I do think could get dealt. Okay, let's flash up the Dirty Birds Club whenever you're ready. Trucker Mike, thank you for your super chat as well. Rise up. Archangel is in the chat. We got a lot of familiar faces. Trucker, currently in Alabama, I-65 North. Kind of had the I-30 part right-ish, just the wrong direction. Nebraska was just not in the right zip. Oh, that's frustrating. Trucker Mike, come back next week. Let's see if we can if I ever get it right, I'm going to feel like I need to go buy a lottery ticket. All right, Dirty Birds Club's latest member, Bentley Lancaster ATL. Thank you so much. Rise up. And if you want to get added to the Dirty Birds Club, $100 super chat, and we'll throw your name on screen to get shout-outs for the entirety of the 2024 season. Okay, let's get along here as we get closer and closer to the start of the show. Latest news and rumors. I understand that everyone wants to swing for the fences, but I want to look at some more realistic trade targets, so we'll check out those names. And then a mailbag, #Falcons or Super Chat. If you Super Chat, we guarantee it gets on screen for everyone watching to see. So any question you have, get #Falcons in the chat if you're unable to Super Chat. If you do want to support the show and ask a question or give a take at the same time, Super Chat's greatly appreciated, but no pressure whatsoever. But I do press you to like the video because that shit's completely free. And if you don't like the video, that's a big middle finger to me. So hit that thumbs up button. We got 158 people hanging out with us right now. Only 32 likes. We are not starting the show until we get to 50 likes.
Let's get to 50 likes.
Yep.
Just for fun.
Yep, let's go. Kolb, let's go. I made it to the stream. Let's go, Kolb. Appreciate you. I'm perfectly content with the Zadarius Smith pickup. I'm a little worried that Zadarius Smith might be too expensive for the Falcons. And that's probably not what you want to hear. But if they gave up a third for Judon before the season, Zadarius Smith is not going to go for a third. He's not that young. But he's not going to be too far behind. And I'm worried. Might be too much.
Archangel. Going to the Tampa game. I'll get you a photo there. Let's go.
Archangel is one of the super fans, I think, who just travels week to week.
Well, Tampa is a closer.
He went to Carolina.
Yeah.
And he went to Tampa now.
It's up and around.
You going to go to New Orleans too? I might have to invite Archangel to my bachelor party. That's going to be in New Orleans.
I mean, you might have to.
We'll just go over there and
he would probably
be on our worst behavior.
He would probably wear a Falcons jersey.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I would look forward to seeing Archangel get thrown out of a bar. Yeah. Archangel's going to start some shit at Pat O'Brien's. Okay, Kolb, rise up. Enjoy your game at Tampa as well. So, mailbag coming up in a little bit. So start getting those questions in right now. I've seen a couple already. #Falcons or Super Chat. And if you Super Chat, you skip the line. It's like a fast pass at Disney. And we'll throw it on for everyone watching to see. We're at 55 likes. There we go. Let's get into some really important injury news going into Sunday as the Falcons are, compared to the rest of the league, on the healthier side. I know no one ever feels that way, but believe me, there are some way worse off teams right now. Okay, are we ready to rock and roll? Colb, I'm traveling all the way from Virginia. That's a decent drive right there. You should go hang out with with Trucker Mike. Guys, catch a ride. Can we coordinate something right there? All right, here we go. We're starting a live show in 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here running you through some really important injury news, not only for the Falcons, but also for the Buccaneers going into NFL Week 8. But let's start with the Dirty Birds. They've got 6 guys on their injury report right now, and a mixture of good and some bad-ish news. But let's start with the good news here, and that is Matthew Begeron, who left last week's game against Seattle early with a neck injury, was a full participant. However, his running mate next to him, Ryan Neuzil, is limited with a knee injury, and if he cannot go, as we look at the Falcons depth chart, who has already been replacing Drew Dalman, then we are looking at Matt Hennessy. Remember Matt Hennessy? Yeah, he's back, by the way, if you missed that. That happened a few weeks ago. So Dalman's still on IR. His backup is injured right now with a knee injury, and so it could be third stringer Matt Hennessy filling in at center. Although Neuzil missed Wednesday's practice, he was able to return in a limited capacity on Thursday. So that's some of the good-ish news right there. Some of the I'm concerned news, let's go with the 2 linebackers, Troy Andersen and Nate Landman. So Troy Andersen, Nate Landman, 2 of your 3 kind of starting rotating interior offensive linemen. Both of those guys are limited with different injuries. Hopefully the Falcons can get them back. Now, if we do see Neuzil miss Sunday's game, we're going to get our 8th different starter on the offensive line for the Falcons. I mean, just look at what's not one of the league-leading rotations. There's definitely some teams who are in much, deeper, shit water in terms of the offensive line being an absolute cluster bunch. But the Falcons have had a couple of different combinations out there, have had some guys go down mid-game. So hopefully we can just keep things as they are right now with Neuzil filling in for Drew Dalman until Dalman's able to return. Now, as for the linebacker room, if Andersen and or Landman cannot go, keep an eye on J.D. Bertrand, the rookie from Notre Dame. Remember, he filled in during the Bucs game right after Andersen went down in the Saints game, and it was a tough day. And he's a rookie, so I'm not going to make too big of a deal out of one game for a rookie, but suffice to say, the Falcons could really use either one of Andersen or Landman, or hopefully both of these players, because the last time we saw Troy Andersen, he was having maybe the best game of his career, picking off Derek Carr and the Saints, making a lot of big plays on that side of the football. And Nate Landman showed us last year when he filled in for Andersen what a big playmaker he can be from the middle of the field. So I'm optimistic about the offensive line. The linebacker injuries, that's definitely something I'm concerned about because this defense is already kind of cheeks as it is. They really can't afford to be missing some of their good players. So that's kind of the latest on the injury front for the Falcons. But if you want the Falcons to get healthy, hit that thumbs up button. I just want to get some good vibes going ultimately. I know that not liking a YouTube video will make Troy Andersen's knee better, but why not just kind of get some good mojo into the football universe? Troy Andersen comes across this video. He sees 100,000 likes, and he's like, whoa, damn, I got to play this Sunday now. They did it for me. Now, as for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've got a much worse rash of injuries. Chris Godwin is out for the rest of the regular season with an ankle injury, and Mike Evans is going to miss the next couple of weeks with a hamstring injury. So the Falcons are going to miss both of the Bucs star wide receivers. I feel bad for both of them, of course, but Godwin was really playing at an all-pro level, and Evans is always just Mr. Consistent Evans. He might not get to 1,000 yards because of this injury now, so that could be something to watch for. But as for the rest of the Buccaneers' injuries, in addition to Mike Evans, their tight end, Payne Durham, he did not practice. Defensive tackle William Golston, limited with a knee injury. And then one I really want you to keep a close eye on is running back Bucky Irving. That's the rookie out of Oregon who has somewhat surpassed Rachaad White as this team's number one running back, and it is very much up in the air as to whether or not he will be available for the Bucs this Sunday. Now, I'm going to tell you more about Bucky Irving and how this injury is very important, but first, a quick shout out to our sponsor today, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's number one daily fantasy sports app with over 10 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. I'm talking turning $10 into $1,000. So here's an example of what a Prize Pick selections look like. For this upcoming weekend, I'm taking the more on Thursday night as we film this during our live show on Thursday. Also like the more for Cooper Kupp, and then why not take the more for Joe Mixon against a bad Colts run defense. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. So a Bucs beat reporter tweeted this out today, saying that the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay says the Bucs offense is preparing for several possible game plans on Sunday because the status of running back Bucky Irving with a toe injury is up in the air. So let's talk a little bit about why a Buccaneers rookie running back injury is actually pretty consequential in this upcoming matchup. I mean, for starters, Tampa Bay does not have Godwin and Evans. So clearly they are going to try and win this game on the ground. And Bucky Irving this season leads the Buccaneers with 351 yards and 3 touchdowns. And it's not just about what he's been able to do this season for Tampa Bay. It's about what he has been able to do over the last 3 weeks. 165 yards for Sean Tucker, 148 yards for Bucky Irving. So Irving has been the workhorse back as of late, getting 32 carries. That is 12 more than the next highest Buccaneers running back, and he leads the group with 2 touchdowns as well. I can only find one path to victory for Tampa. It is defense and run game. I mean, last week for Seattle, the defense predominantly helped them win that game, and the offense was good too for Geno Smith, but 3 takeaways by Seahawks defenders, that clearly was instrumental in their win. And unlike the Seahawks, the Buccaneers don't have their DK Metcalf playing, so they're going to have to go to the ground game. So even if the Buccaneers defense is playing lights out football, if the offense can't score much, it really will go down, in vain. So with no Buck Evans, with no Mike Evans and no Chris Godwin, I mean, look at the 4 next leading receivers for Tampa. Cade Otton, I think, is a solid rookie. Nothing more, nothing less. Rachaad White has somewhat been phased out of the offense as of late, like we just saw. Sterling Shepard, he's the next highest leading receiver. 7 grabs, 78 yards. Sean Tucker, rookie running back, 4 grabs, 70 yards. So to me, this game really comes down to whether or not Tampa can run the football, and having Bucky Irving would be a huge asset for the Buccaneers. So my message to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons is, Kirk, be better, and the Falcons win. Because I don't see how Tampa Bay can win this game without a combination of really good defense and a run game. Even if they get the run game going, if the defense can't stop the Falcons, which they could not do last time they played, when the Falcons put up 36 points, it should be a relatively routine win for Atlanta. But last week, Cousins was bad. I mean, he cost them the game in a lot of ways. Geno was good. Kirk Cousins had 3 turnovers, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 1 fumble. So Kirk Cousins definitely needs to be better this upcoming Sunday. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's episode. Really appreciate everyone who takes time out of their day to hang out with us and watch our content. I know today was a little bit of a shorter video, but just wanted to get you guys the latest injury news going into this upcoming Sunday. So speaking of that game, who you got? Falcons or Buccaneers? Let me know down below in the comment section. I just want to see 100 ATLs. So on your way out the door, just leave an ATL for me in the comment section. Would greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get some quick shout-outs here to the Dirty Birds Club. I know. Took a little while there. Dirty Birds Club, Jose Santana, Ken Ballard, Trey1222, Jason Landino, Reese Atkins, Archangel, Angry Liquid, Jeebus H. Christ, Dictator JC, JT, Jordan C. Johnza, Ronan Tyrell, Lord Buddy Bear, and Bentley Lancaster ATL, the newest member of the Dirty Birds Club. Thank you guys so much for being such loyal supporters of the channel. Appreciate you guys for watching this episode. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out, like I said. All right, get some shout-outs here. We have Jim, Frank. We'll kind of merge that together. Connor, Chris, Sean, Melvin, Trucker Mike. Love to see it. Archangel, there is no reason we shouldn't win this game, but you still never underestimate your opponent. We learned that last week. Yeah, no, you're right, Archangel. I'm not very good at learning that lesson. I've had it taught to me many times, and I still have this really dumb brain that thinks, how can they lose if they're better? Like, it never computes for me. Never computes. Okay. Jason Greenway's in the chat. CLNS Jason. If we dominate, I'm going to be full on hype train. I mean, a win for Atlanta this week. After that, they got the Cowboys. Their bye's not too far behind that. Hey, we're going to have... the schedule is not as easy as the models projected it to be, because a lot of the bad teams the Falcons were playing this year are actually playing very well. I mean, for example, like, if we just kind of run through the schedule here for Atlanta, what was supposed to be the easiest schedule in the NFL by a mile, like, there are some teams that are outkicking their coverage. Steelers are a little bit better than what I thought, but that regardless, I mean, look at the upcoming schedule here. Broncos, Chargers, the Vikings were not supposed to be good. Like, the Commanders were not supposed to be good. Those are supposed to be some easy wins for Atlanta. They're definitely not going to be gimmies at all. Vincent, I need to see Pitts get a 100-yard game. Vincent, Pitts has had 3 straight games with 65 yards or more. He's also third amongst tight ends in receiving yards. Can we stop slandering Pitts? Like, I'm not saying you're slandering Pitts, but, like, just as a football community, the guy's third in receiving yards for tight end. Is he what you expect the 4th overall pick to be? No, but is he some dramatic bust? I don't think so. I don't think he lived up to, and he probably never will, to true 4th overall pick expectations. I still think he's a starting tight end in the NFL for a decade plus. I do think he's got that in him. All right, next up on the show, we're going to look at some NFL trade targets for Atlanta that are on the more realistic side. So I know we all want to swing for the fences, but what about a couple of singles? Like, what about some, like, just low-key mid-range jumpers? How about something like that? And we do have a mailbag, by the way, after this second segment. So get your questions in right now. Use hashtag Falcons or Super Chat. We've already got Super Chats from Bentley Lancaster ATL and Trucker Mike. So thank you both so much for supporting the channel. We didn't have a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, I fixed it. Hand up. Forgot about the Judon trade. I'm human. I'm one of you guys. I make fuck-ups. All right. Mr. Heitzer is going to really enjoy the start of this video because it's right what we open up with. Okay. We got 168 people tuned in. We have 92 likes. Can we get 8 more likes, get to 100, and then we will look at some realistic trade targets. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. Last time we were in Tampa, it was Koo and Grant that came up. Why does my computer keep doing this? It keeps freezing. It was, yeah. YouTube. I don't know if it's a YouTube bug or like a computer bug. I keep getting oh snap. It really drives me nuts. Okay. Oh snap. Oh snap. We're 3 likes away from 100.
Did you get scratched on your?
Yeah,
face?
I did. I don't know if you guys can see it. That's my dog. We call it teeth brushing. When you come home, my dog's really excited to see me. And when I sit in the couch, she like puts her paws. She's like 40 pounds. She's not that big, but she'll put them on my shoulders, and she'll just go to town licking my mouth, trying to brush my teeth, as we call it. And I was trying to come up for air, and she kind of just slipped off of me and scratched me. But she needs to get her nails trimmed. Okay. We're at 100 likes. There we go. Everyone, shout out your dog name in the chat. My dog, love my dog, Cruz. Let me know what your dog's name is. Okay. I am ready to jump into some trade targets that are more on the realistic side for Terry Fontenot. So, Terry, raise the volume a little bit because I would love to see you make some type of move. Rusty, appreciate your super chat. Let's get to Rusty's super chat after this next segment. On today's episode, I want to look at some realistic trade targets for the Falcons because for anyone hoping that they're going to get Myles Garrett or Max Crosby, I've got some bad news for you. That's probably / definitely not going to happen. But with 4 draft picks, Terry Fontenot does not have a lot to work with. He's got his first, his second, his third went to New England for Matthew Judon. His fifth, or he has his fourth, his fifth was taken for alleged tampering with Kirk Cousins. And his sixth was a part of the Contavious Street or Van Jefferson trade from last offseason. So with that, they are left with 4 picks. So let's look at some more realistic, affordable, budget-controlled targets for the Falcons. And yeah, they're all at one position, pass rusher. Starting with the Giants edge rusher, Azeez Ojulari. He's from Marietta, so this would be a nice homecoming for him. Went to UGA, of course, was a dog in Athens. And Ojulari, unfortunately, has just been somewhat phased out, or at least his role has been reduced in New Jersey because they added Brian Burns over the offseason. Kayvon Thibodeau was already starting. So Ojulari, as a result, has become nothing more than just a rotational pass rusher for him. I mean, he's playing a career-low 49% of snaps. He has seen an uptick in usage over the last couple of weeks. He's also super cheap, $1.5 million base salary. So at this point, about half of that's already been paid out. So we're looking at $700,000 to $800,000 left on his tab. Any team could afford that. He's also in the final year of his contract, so you're not locked into any money beyond this season. Ojulari has shown some good moments in his young career. I mean, 8 sacks back in 2021. Fortunately, it's kind of dipped since then, 5.5, 2.5, but that's mostly from a lack of availability. This year, been healthy, 4 sacks in 7 games. But let's take it one step further than just the surface level numbers. How about some of the big boy analytics here? How about pressures? Ojulari has 15 pressures. For reference, Matthew Judon has 11. Arnold Ebiketie has 8. Lorenzo Carter has 2. What's even more frightening is look at the pressure percentage, right? Meaning, if you're on the field all the time, then yeah, you get more opportunities to get pressures. But if you're not on the field that much and you still make some really good reps happen, what's that percentage looking like? I mean, Ojulari is double than the first highest player for the Falcons. And his Pro Football Focus rank reflects that. So of all the affordable, realistic options we're going to look at today, this is probably my favorite one. I don't think there's anything wrong or broken with Azeez. I just think he is unfortunately in a bad position right now between being behind Burns and Thibodeau on the depth chart, and also the Giants not going anywhere this season, so they'll likely be sellers. So I don't think there's like motivation to get Ojulari off the roster because there's something wrong with him. If they were winning football games right now, they wouldn't be talking about this, but they're not, and the Falcons could use some help. So what could a trade look like? This is a rough idea. How about the Falcons get Azeez and a 5th-round draft pick, and the Giants get the Falcons' 4th-round pick? Basically, New York gets to jump from round 5 to round 4 for a player who is playing less than half of the snaps on a team that's not going to the postseason this year. To me, this looks like a win-win. So, with that being said, we can look at our next trade candidate for the Falcons, but in a moment, our trade target. But first, help us reach 29,000 subscribers. We are a little under 50 subs away. So if you are looking for a free Atlanta Falcons YouTube channel, I don't really know what more you need to hear other than hit that sub button. And if you don't enjoy the content, you can always unsubscribe later. Second trade target. Let's go with Tennessee Titan Arden Key. He's bounced around the league a little bit with the Oakland Raiders and the Jags and the Niners and the Titans, but I think Arden Key is someone worth keeping an eye on. Former LSU Tiger has 1 year left on his contract, so he's not quite as cheap as Ojulari from like a money standpoint, because in 2025 he's got a $6.5 million base salary. So any team trading for Arden Key would be taking on a little bit of a financial hit. But he has been playing some, I wouldn't say really good football this year, but he's been playing some solid ball altogether. Plus, the Titans are an absolute dumpster fire. Brian Callahan, I've never seen a coach be so honest about this. When asked about trade rumors, he said, I would expect some movement on our roster for the next period of time. I mean, the Titans have already made a couple of trades, so why not add one more to the mix here? So Arden Key this year, only 1 sack in 6 games, and that's not where you want it to be, but he has shown that he can put together a good body of work. I don't think I'm trying to sell Arden Key as this Pro Bowl pass rusher, but if you can get a guy that can get you 6.5, 6 sacks, I mean, that is miles ahead of anyone on this roster right now. So what would it cost you? Not much at all. For starters, you'd probably doing the Titans a little bit of a favor, getting that contract off of their books, so you don't have to give them that great of a pick. I would offer a future 6th-round draft pick. And for Atlanta, it's not a completely, low-risk addition because you are taking on a guy who has 1 more year on his contract, but you got to try for something if you're unable to trade for a bigger name like Zadarius Smith, for example, because you only have 4 draft picks. Third trade target. Speaking of Patriots, how about Josh Uche? New England Patriot edge rusher, former Michigan Wolverine, 2nd-round draft pick back in 2020. He has not gotten off to a hot start this year, but beggars can't be choosers. So we're not going to look at any of the negatives. We are only going to look at the positives. How's that sound to everyone? So his base salary, like a couple other guys we're going to look at today, on the lower end, so we can kind of check the financial box pretty easily. Uche was brought back on a 1-year, $3 million contract. So we're looking at someone that, bet on themselves a little bit. And obviously with the Patriots, that is not working out. But you go back not very far in time, 2022, 11.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Like, can you find even 80% of that player right there? If the answer is yes, you are in a great spot. So hopefully the Falcons and the Patriots can maybe come to a second agreement on a pass rusher trade. Who says no, right? By the way, just let this be a reminder. I've seen a lot of Bill Belichick on my screen lately, and he's been pretty critical of other teams and whatnot. And Bill's the best coach in NFL history, and I know that. He also traded a 2nd-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. So maybe just pull back a little bit on the criticisms because you made your fair share of mistakes as well. Now that we are approaching the halfway point of the season, what is your updated Falcons record prediction? I think mine was 10-7. I might have been at 11-6 by week 1 kickoff. Sitting at 4-3, that's looking about good right now. So I guess I'll stick to 10-7. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. By the way, while you're getting those record predictions in, I'm just going to quickly fill you in on this awesome deal going on at Fanatics, where you can get this Falcons hoodie 25% off at chatsports.com/ATL hoodie. With cold weather right around the corner, stay warm while also repping your favorite squad. Get this Falcons hoodie 25% off today. chatsports.com/ATL hoodie. Fourth trade candidate, we can actually lump these two together. It's Michael Hoyt and Trevis Gibson. So a couple of guys from the NFC West that are, as we kind of move down the line here, the cheapest of the bunch in terms of what it would cost to get them and their own contract as well. Let's start with Michael Hoyt, who has some familiarity with Vance Joseph. I mean, he's been a Ram his entire career, a UDFA who was drafted to the Canadian Football League, said no to that and bet on himself in the NFL and found a roster spot on the Rams. And since then has played some really good football. I mean, 57 games, 27 starts, 12.5 sacks for a UDFA. Got to give him credit for working his tail off to not only get in position to make good plays, but also finishing off those plays. And then there's Trevis Gibson, who was a 5th-round pick back in 2020 out of the Bears. He has 11 career sacks, 6 forced fumbles, so he's had some good highlight-worthy moments, but ultimately he has not really caught on in Seattle. He's been a healthy scratch for the Seahawks the last 2 weeks, so I could see Seattle, whether they want to be buyers or sellers, just moving on from a player who's not even getting on the field on Sundays. At the end of the day, you have to try something. And I understand that Terry Fontenot's probably saying to himself right now, I did try something. I traded for Matthew Judon. I signed Justin Simmons. I can't give up the farm just for this one season. And I understand that. And that's why I didn't even mention someone like Zadarius Smith today, who's probably going to cost you a little bit more than any of the 5 names. But at the same time, a 4-3 ball club. Look around the NFC for a second. The Niners are 3-4. They were the defending champs last year. The Lions look really, really good, but they just lost Aiden Hutchinson. I don't really buy the Vikings hype very much. We'll keep eyes on the Bears and the Packers. The NFC South is no issue. The NFC East is not intimidating. The Eagles can't stop getting in their own way. The Cowboys are more focused on giving tours of the facility than winning games on Sunday. The Commanders actually might be pretty good. This is a somewhat wide open NFC. You're not in the AFC with the Chiefs or something with the Bills where you feel like a juggernaut's just going to squash you when you get to January. Terry, make a fucking move. So who do you want to trade for? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to hear from everyone watching before we get on out of here. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with us today. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time. Yeah, Terry's not going to like that.
That was very personal right there.
Well, I mean,
make a fucking move.
This is not like, I know it's the NFL, but this NFC is not overly impressive because the Niners are not very good right now. Right? They were the standard in the NFC, and they look beatable for sure. Aaron Brooks. Saints quarterback Aaron Brooks. Sell everything for Crosby or hold still. I just don't see the Raiders trading Max Crosby. They don't want to trade him. You'd have to give up a whole lot, and probably more than you want to give up. I would say Ojulari would be my favorite. I think Ojulari could come here and actually make a real impact. Oh, we got a super chat. From Rusty Moore. What's going on, Rusty? Awesome to see you. Don't you just love that MJ came to Atlanta and all of a sudden forgot how to... Matthew Judon came to Atlanta and I was like, Michael Jordan? And all of a sudden forgot how to rush the passer. Typical Falcons luck. Don't like our defensive scheme either. Soft. Yeah, I really don't have, and I tried to get these answers when it comes to like X's and O's, rises and fall-offs. I don't know. I don't know why Matthew Judon is broken. I don't have an answer for you. Like, I've seen the snaps of him dropping into coverage. That's silly. You run a 3-4 defense. That is going to happen from time to time. They are playing a different position than a traditional defensive end. But yeah, Falcons players are allergic to the opposing quarterback. It's like I recently watched the movie World War Z for the first time. I'd never seen it. Yeah. For the first time. And you know how Brad Pitt's character like learns, spoiler by the way, that if you give yourself sickness, like they'll avoid you? That's opposing quarterbacks. And the Falcons are all like the zombies in that movie. Where they just go right past them.
I think that's a great movie.
Oh, it's a really good movie.
I've heard some people, they're like, oh, it's stupid, or I think because of the CGI zombies.
Yeah.
But I love that movie.
I like that movie too. I like that movie as well.
That was first time?
Yeah, I'd never seen it.
Huh.
Yeah. Brad Pitt's highest grossing film, by the way. Good trivia.
Did you like the airplane scene?
Which one?
There are multiple. I haven't seen it in a little bit.
When they are flying to like Ireland, and there's like a zombie on board. Yeah, that was.
It's great, and they're building up the wall.
Yeah, with those suitcases.
And then the idiot falls through, and they're like, "Uh-oh."
Dude, when I was watching that movie, and they brought that like, what's the term, like World Health expert who studies diseases, and they fly to South Korea. and he's holding the gun, and Brad Pitt's like, take your finger off the trigger, and then he slips, and he falls, and he shoots himself accidentally. I audibly screamed out loud, like, what the fuck are you doing? Okay, let's get into our mailbag. So if you have any questions, use hashtag Falcons or Super Chat like Rusty Moore, like Bentley, like Trucker Mike, and we'll throw it on screen for everyone watching to see. Appreciate you guys for Super Chatting and supporting the show like you do. So, hashtag Falcons or Super Chat. Reed will get all the questions ready here. Micah Parsons, I don't think gets traded now. I could see Micah Parsons potentially, if the Cowboys season really goes downhill, I still think he's ultimately going to get a long-term deal with Dallas, but here's the catch for the Cowboys. It's sign Micah Parsons to a long-term deal, but Jerry Jones will then use that to say we can't pay anyone in free agency for the next 3 years. Like, he's just going to continue to spew lies that they're unable to sign those guys because they have other players they need to pay. Like, go look at the Eagles in your own division. They pay so many players. It is doable. You are just too cheap. Okay. Save that one for later. We got a lot of good questions coming in here. I like this one from Nick. Do you think we could get Harold Landry? Yeah, let's do that one. Nick, good question, Nick. We'll take some initiative. Attaboy. We got Jay Da in the chat right now. David Hamilton's here. We got Vincent, Archangel, David Hamilton. I like this from the Don G. You need to curse more often. The thing is I have a lot of grandparents that watch this. Like, not just general grandparents, but like my grandma watches. She's not a football fan at all, but she just wants to see me. So every time I swear, I feel like I'm just cursing at Nanny. I feel really bad. And then my fiance's grandparents, they watch too. And the next time I see them, I feel like I'm just looking at them like, I swore at you on YouTube. Like that, I feel like it's a tough conversation to have. Nick, do me a solid. Okay. You got to have a space, Nick, in between the word Landry and the hashtag Falcons. Otherwise, it reads it all as one word, and the software just goes bananas. So put a space in between the last word of your sentence and hashtag Falcons. All right, are we ready to jump into a mailbag? We're at 118 likes. I'm going to be super needy. 2 more likes. I need 120 likes, and then we can go. David, I watch you all the time. How do I support the channel? Watching is probably the best way to support the channel. So, David, you're already doing a tremendous job. Liking the video, subscribing, and then if you really want to be a super-duper overachiever, Super Chats are awesome. They're kind of like a tip jar. The thing about Super Chats, like, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, or if you're in the service industry, you probably don't feel this way, but, like, tipping in this country since the start of COVID has gone bananas. Because what happened was during COVID is, hey, we got to take care of these people because they're not getting as much business due to restaurants and bars being closed. But then once all that reopened, we never went back to what it was before. And I'm not trying to come across as someone who, like, never tips or anything like that. But, like, I kid you not, I was in Austin a couple of months ago visiting a friend. We got some pizza. Guy flipped the iPad on me. Started at 50%. I was flabbergasted. Not joking. Then another time in Dallas, went to a bar to get a drink, and minimum tip was $25. And I'm like, okay, but whatever. And they're like, also, how much do you want to tip the band? I go, what band? And they go, well, there's no band tonight. And I'm like, what? And they're like, but like, you know, just tips throughout the week. I'm like, I'm tipping a band that's not even here right now.
I didn't even listen to them.
It's stuff like that that drives me nuts. So as I say all that, if you still want to support the show, now I'm on the other side of the fence. Super Chats are a great way to do that, David. I can't be the only one that feels this way. If you're a waiter, you probably hate people like me because maybe you kind of benefited from like the carryover. But it was bananas when this lady was like,
I was a server before, and 15% and up, cool.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. If I didn't do a great job, and it's like, you know, I'm 15 or a little bit lower than 15, I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Like, but if I usually did a pretty good job, and I was nice, and and they'll give me $2. They give me like $2 on like $100 tab. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I'll take the $2, but like, dude, come on, what do
Right.
you like? Help me out a little bit. And then when people go, they go up to my boss and they'll go to my manager when I was a server, and they go, he's great, you should pay him more. And my manager would go, you can do that.
See, like,
like
I do feel like tipping has taken too much of the pressure off of restaurant owners to pay. It's all of a sudden on the consumer to pay their salaries. Why don't you just pay them more? Like, I'm sure there's a long-winded answer to that question, but we're one of the only countries that does not operate that way. And I love this country, but that is one of the sillier things that all of a sudden the restaurant makes the consumer pay for the employee's salary as well via tips. Okay, here we go. Let's get into a live mailbag. Mailbag time here at Falcons Today. I'm answering questions that came in during our live show, which airs every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So come hang out with us if you have a question you want to ask to get on next week's mailbag. But our first question comes in from Nick. Do you think we could get Harold Landry? The Titans are likely going to be in a fire sale mode. They've already made 2 trades, DeAndre Hopkins and Ernest Jones. I could see Harold Landry being a piece that they hold on to. Him and Justin Simmons are core members of that defense. So I think in order to pry Landry away, you'd have to make an offer the Titans can't refuse. And with the Falcons having just 4 picks in the upcoming draft, I don't think they could probably make a sweet enough offer for Tennessee to say yes. So, Nick, I would say don't get your hopes up on this one. Phantom, Big Boss, trade for Zaven Collins if Troy misses more games. Why not just sign the former first-round pick the Commanders released, Jamin Davis? No. I would say that you're not going to see many middle linebacker trades go down. I know Ernest Jones and Jerome Baker just got swapped in a little bit of a pick change as well, but it's not common you see off-ball linebackers go for draft picks because you got to think about it a little bit through the eyes of a GM. That 5th-round pick, let's say they gave up for Collins, well, they could use that 5th-round pick on a linebacker who is going to have 4 years of a cheap rookie contract, whereas Collins only has a year and a half left on that first-round contract of his. So if a starter goes down for the rest of the season, that'll change things. But if it's just, hey, we need some help to get through the next couple of weeks, with Atlanta having 4 picks as it is, they don't have that luxury. So I would say that's probably unlikely. Jason Greenway, how do you feel Justin Simmons has been playing? Not super impressed at this time. Use code CLNS. More Richie Grant. Richie Grant has only played 19 defensive snaps so far this year. I think majority of that came in the Eagles game back in week 2. How has Justin Simmons been? Not that great. We're only at halfway through the season, so there's a lot of time left for Simmons to kind of look like the Pro Bowl All-Pro player that I think he is and what he can play at. But yeah, unfortunately, he has not been a takeaway machine. I also think that's somewhat a product of quarterbacks just avoiding the middle of the field when they go up against Atlanta's secondary. And they can kind of get by with that because the corners haven't been elite. They haven't been bad by any stretch. They haven't been elite. But also, the quarterbacks have had plenty of time with a very bad pass rush to somewhat dice up this Atlanta secondary. So Justin Simmons for sure has been at a C level. Hopefully we can get him up to like a B to B plus level if we're being realistic for the next second half of the year. Kirk O'Chains, any chance the Falcons trade for Cooper Kupp? We're filming this on Thursday, so Kupp's about to play on Thursday night. My prediction right now is that the Rams are going to win this game. We'll see how that airs when this airs. I would say no. Only way I see the Falcons trading for Cooper Kupp is if they just decide we're not going to find a good pass rusher. So instead of just trading a pick for a pass rusher, just for the sake of that, because we feel obligated, let's just load up on offense. I'm not saying that's a good idea, and I don't think the Falcons should do that, but that is the only small chance I could ever create in my head for how Atlanta would trade for Cooper Kupp. I'll also add, I don't think that's a very wise trade for the Falcons to make, even if they did need a wide receiver. Kupp is not cheap. He's got a pretty big contract still underway, another expensive year on the books for next year. And that Triple Crown winner, that was a long time ago. The guy has been unavailable for 3 straight seasons. He's played about half of the games. So the Rams won a second. I would not give that if I were Atlanta. Now, if you have a question you want to ask, tune into a future live show. We go live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, so you can ask your question at that point. Really appreciate everyone who's already subscribed to the channel and hangs out with us during our live shows as well. It's a blast. It's kind of a new way to take in some Falcons Today content. Andrew Beto, would you guys trade for Ojulari and extend him since he's a little bit younger compared to the other edge rushers available? We can look at 5 realistic trade targets because I don't think the Falcons are going to make some big home run trade for Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. And even someone like Zadarius Smith might be a little bit too expensive for them. So Azeez Ojulari, of the more realistic and affordable trade targets, is definitely my favorite of the bunch. I still think he has good football on him. He has 4 sacks this year. I think he's unfortunately just been in a tough situation of Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau are above him on the depth chart. You're not going to take those guys off the field just to get Ojulari an extra snap or 2. So would I trade for? Yes, I would. I would trade for Azeez Ojulari. Would I extend him? Let's see how the rest of the season rolls out. Ojulari is not in a spot where he has any leverage to hold out if he doesn't get a new deal. So play out the rest of this year. It would be the second time we've seen the Falcons bring in a former New York Giant who was a Georgia Bulldog, Lorenzo Carter and Ojulari. So the 2 of them can be bunkmates. We can have a whole Step Brothers movie come out after these 2. But I would say Ojulari is my number 1 target, and you don't need to extend him until after the season if he plays well. NC Show, if, and it's a big if, the Falcons go on to, I love where this is going, go on to win the Super Bowl. What do you think their offseason plans would be, and what would you do? Okay. If the Falcons win the Super Bowl, I'm looking at this through the lens of who is the free agent upcoming that they would want to bring back. I mean, they don't have to worry about Kirk Cousins. I'm trying to think of like expiring deals coming up for the Falcons. I would say it would probably be something like just run it back. I don't think they'd have to make any big moves, or I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't think there's a big sexy move I'm trying to think of. I mean, it's really tough to think this far down the line, but I mean, your offensive line, they're all under contract for next year, are they not? I think Jake Matthews and Lindstrom still have another. Yeah, they definitely do. They're not a contract year. Bijan's here. Pitts is here. London's here. On defense, he's a pass rusher. Terrell's locked up. Bates is locked up. If the Falcons won the Super Bowl, I would say they should devote that 32nd overall pick to the best edge rusher at the draft. That is the simplest answer I can give you. I do appreciate the question, though, and I love the optimism. Sorry I don't have a little bit more of a sexy response, though. All right, today's show is made possible thanks to our friends over at Prize Picks. That's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 10 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player staff projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, let's get on to our next question coming in from Cy Andersen. How realistically do you see us winning the division if we somehow don't get another pass rusher before the trade deadline? It's a good question. Reed, are we able to pull up the AFC and NFC championship games? Remember that graphic we had of the last 5 years for the Falcons or for both sides? Okay. I'm trying to pull this up here. I thought it might be already in the computer as is. Um, so Reed's going to work on that. But, Sai, how realistic? I don't think it's possible. I mean, let's just talk about it. There's 4 teams. You're one of them. You got to beat 3 more teams. One's the Saints, one's the Panthers. Neither one of those teams are striking much fear in me at all. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Look at the NFC one. All right. So what I have here for Sai is the AFC and NFC championship finalists over the last 5 years and where they rank in sacks. Now, I know this isn't quite just winning the division, but it does go to show that you need to be able to get after the quarterback if you want to get all the way to the end of the playoffs. I mean, there are a couple of outliers. The 2019 Packers were, barely top half, but all the winners on the left were top 5 in the NFC. As for the AFC, you definitely have some major outliers. Look at the 2021 Chiefs and the 2022 Bengals. Both were bottom 5 in the NFL. It also helps when Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow are your quarterback, but Kirk Cousins is playing at a really high level right now, I think. So, Sai, to answer your question with a real number, how realistic is it? I'd say 90%. I'm very confident that even with a bad pass rush, the Falcons can win the NFC South. But I'm sure we all have the same goals here of it's not about just winning the NFC South. This is a team that is so talented, they should be able to go further than a 10-7 NFC South win and lose at home in the playoffs in round 1. I would like them to join that graphic of NFC Championship finalists. And I think, like we saw in the NFC, you got to have a good pass rush. David Hamilton, if we are giving up everything, why not trade Garrett? I love Crosby, but Garrett is built different. Yeah, Garrett is called Superman for a reason. He is an absolute made-in-a-lab physical specimen. Again, though, I feel like far too often people forget it takes 2 to trade. If you're the Browns, and I think any blockbuster trade like this should start by convincing the Browns to do it rather than convincing the Falcons to do it. If you're the Browns, you want to trade your number 1 player in franchise history for probably 2 first-round picks, maybe a second and a third. I mean, that's about what it goes for. And that first-round pick this year, with the way the Falcons are playing, it's probably going to be like in the late 20s. I mean, if we're just kind of picking an average spot, 27, 28. I really doubt the Browns are going to be on board with, let's trade the guy we used the first overall pick on to get the 28th pick in the draft. I understand that they are not in a good spot, but you got to give them a better offer than that. And I don't think you can give them a better offer. Rusty Moore. Don't you just love that Matthew Judon came to Atlanta and all of a sudden forgot how to rush the passer? Typical Falcons luck. Don't like our defensive scheme either. Soft. Yeah, I don't understand it, but as soon as pass rushers put on a Falcons uniform, they all of a sudden develop an extreme allergic reaction to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, the Bears are cursed without having a good franchise quarterback, the only team without a 4,000-yard passer, and the Falcons can't get a pass rusher. The Ravens can't get a wide receiver. Every single franchise is always missing one thing. Fortunate for the Falcons, this one thing is probably the second most important position in all of sports. Why couldn't they just never get a good safety? I'd much rather swap that. A bad punter. That'd be a good bad problem to have. Got a great offense, great, but that damn punter just cannot pin them inside the 20. All right, we got a couple of super chats here. Bentley Lancaster, what's up? Rise up. We need pass rush. Terry, do it for Bentley. Don't let Bentley down. Let's get a pass rusher. Just do something. You're dead last in sacks. Reginald Banks, what would it take to get Harold Landry? I'm just going to peek at Harold Landry's stats right now in live time. But I would say off the dome right now, it would take, for a guy who has back-to-back seasons of 10-plus sacks going into this year and 4 sacks in 6 games already, it would probably take at least a second-round pick. So you look at the Falcons' 4 draft picks. Are you willing to part ways with a second-rounder? Maybe. It's a big swing, though. Not going to lie. And I've been advocating for a trade. But moving on from one of your 4 picks that happens to be your second best pick, if anyone's ever played Stratego, that's like losing your Marshall. Was he the good one? I can't remember. But this is a very hefty price to pay. I would say, Reginald, a second-round draft pick. All right, who you got, by the way, for Sunday? Falcons or Buccaneers? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm taking the Dirty Birds. I want to hear from you, though. you ever play Stratego? No. Good game. It's kind of like
I did not.
it's like chess meets war. So you have like, two sides, and you move pieces around. Who here played Stratego?
I think playing I used to be big chess with my roommate in college. We play on the phone. You can play like on iMessages. You can send
I know
back
what you're talking
and
about.
forth. And I got really into it, and then he got really into it, like as we were playing, and he got really good, and I didn't. So every time we'd play, like we started off like kind of like even, and then I don't know if he's watching, but I don't know if he watches our stuff. But Christian, when he gets a hobby, he's in there.
Right.
And he like for like the next like couple weeks, it's all about that. So he was all about chess, and I was not, and so he started beating me. So then I stopped playing.
Yeah, fair enough. If we get some more super chats, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we do have to sign off for other hosts to use this studio. Yeah, my last.
This,
oh yeah, who you got for Thursday Night Football?
Tonight?
I like the Rams. I think the Rams kind of somewhat get back on track. Vikings, who started off 5-0.
Puka's playing, right?
Yeah, Puka's playing, although he's probably gonna be on a pitch count. I could see the Vikings being a team that starts off 5-0 and then drops 3 in a row. You know what I mean? Like they come not just coming crashing down to earth, but a hard fall down to earth. Dat one Falcons fan. First, second, fourth in 2026. First, second to the Browns for Myles Garrett. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a fourth. I would say, that one Falcons fan, that's at least probably in the area for what the Browns would need to hear, but they probably still say no.
I don't think they want to give him up.
I just think that it's not even about getting a good or fair compensation. It's just they as a franchise would never forgive themselves for trading away the best player in their history in the prime of his career, even though they desperately need to get some picks.
I also think it would have to be an outlandish like trade offer for them to even consider it. And no team's going to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
It has to be like a wild, like, whoa, that's crazy. And nobody's going to do that.
Right. I do appreciate everyone for hanging out with us here. Like I said, if we get some more super chats, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we will sign off and let you get on out of here. Marlon, no worries about being late. We're happy you're here now. Okay. Best bet for tonight. LAR. Oh, that's what Archangel says. I like the Rams. I like the Rams. Girthquake. It's been a little while since we had a visit from the Girthquake. Oh, he got me bad with the shadow. Never seen anything like that. Girthquake. It's me, your favorite Quake. All right, we'll get on screen, Girthquake. Hey, Falcons fam, it's me, your favorite Quake. Which helmet/jersey combo is your favorite? I don't like the gradients, and I know that's not a consensus, but I still think I'm in the majority for that. So I would say the throwback helmet and an all-black uniform. That is probably my favorite. I like the throwback Falcon. If not that, I think the all-whites are clean. They look fast in all-whites. Girthquake, great question, though. Great to have you back. Pound Town. I didn't see that earlier. No, I did not. Oh, my gosh, Girthquake. That's good stuff right there.
I still remember that first time when I put it up and you go, oh, my God.
All right. Next question coming in from Big Falcon. Love it. Archangel likes the all-white. Big Falcon. Great show. I watch faithfully every day. Thank you, Big Falcon. That means a lot to me. Really, really appreciate you supporting us like that. Do you think our defensive scheme will come together, or is our inexperience showing? It's a great question. I know that Terry or Raheem Morris has said that they, or Grady Jarrett too, all of them said they believe that it'll come together, it'll click, and the pass rush will start to come through. I think what we are seeing right now is were mistakes made in the offseason that are very obvious right now. Moving Zach Harrison from edge rusher to defensive tackle. Going to the draft and drafting only defensive tackles. And Braylon Trice. I completely forgot about Braylon Trice, actually. Who knows how different this season could be, although probably not that different with Braylon Trice. But yeah, it's unfortunate that the Braylon Trice injury happened because that was their, effort at adding an edge rusher. But really stocking up on interior defensive linemen and then having veterans like Eddie Goldman and Contavious Street come back, just way too much got placed in the defensive tackle bucket, and the edge rusher tackle bucket got left to the side. Lorenzo Carter is not a starting edge rusher. Arnold Ebiketie is nothing more than a rotational pass rusher. Matthew Judon is playing like a D-level edge rusher, as he said himself, and I can't tell you why. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't want to believe he just fell off the face of the earth, but it kind of looks that way. So I don't think Big Falcon is inexperienced. It's a very experienced unit. Let's go through the guys that played the most snaps. Grady Jarrett, Matthew Judon, David Onyemata, Lorenzo Carter before he got injured. Those are guys with a lot of seasons under their belts. So I would say defensive scheme right now is probably the thing to blame here more than inexperience. Eddie Goldman, Street, all these guys with loads of experience. So for me, I would say this is probably something that falls on the lack of talent at the pass rusher position and not a great scheme altogether. Big Falcon, thank you so much, though, for the super chat and for watching the channel as religiously as you do. Rise up, Big Falcon.
When does everyone watch the videos?
Oh, that's a good question.
At lunch? Because that's what I would do. I would at my old job, I would watch videos, YouTube videos at lunch, and then I still do. But
let me know, because that could help me publish the videos at a more convenient time for you. When do you watch the videos? At lunch, like Reed said, when you get home at 6 p.m., or when you're laying in bed at 10 p.m.? Zach Hubbard, hey, Petey, big-time fan of the show, lifelong Falcons fan since the Jamal Andersen days. Oh, boy. Do you think Zach Robinson is still figuring out the balance of pass and run, kind of stretching out the kinks? He's a first-time play caller in his NFL coaching career. So, yeah, I'm sure that through 7 weeks now, he is still learning a little bit on the fly, like any human does with a new profession. They get better as things go along. And, listen, we saw dramatic improvement. Remember how bad week 1 was, how predictable it was, to, week 6 against the Panthers. But I would say, to answer your question, is he still figuring out the balances? Yes, I would say so. And I like the balance. Begeron and Algier, I think, get a healthy amount of touches. I don't feel like any of us go home at night and put a pillow over our heads and scream, run the ball more, run the ball less. So overall, I think it's a good balance. And the Seahawks game was a blunder, and that mostly just came down to Kirk Cousins having a bad game. 3 turnovers from him. Not only did it put him behind an extra 7 points, but it also really hamstringed their ability to make a comeback. So I think outside of week 1, which was an absolute blunder across the board, and then Kirk Cousins bad in week 7, you got a loss against the Chiefs because the refs don't call PI. I'm willing to live with those types of losses, right? Those aren't losses that really scare me as, oh, this could be a frequent flyer. David Hamilton with a $5 super chat. Let's go, David. Big Falcon, mostly watch at night 7 to 9. Yeah, let me know when you watch the videos. I would really like to know that. David, this is a question no one will like, but after this year, we got 1 more year with Algier. Why not deal him in a package for Crosby, not playing both RBs? Algier, he's in his 3rd season right now at the Falcons. So he has this year and all of next year, like you said. Okay, we're all on the same page. I would say that Algier trade, David, would more likely happen next year. I just don't think the Raiders are going to feel like adding Tyler Algier is going to be a big needle mover for them. But I think next
year, they need a quarterback.
You could probably get better value if you were to trade Algier to a very contending team that really needs a running back. And you're not going to get a very good offer for him right now in that state. There really hasn't been a marquee running back injury. Isaiah Pacheco, is that like the only one? So I understand, Hamilton, the train of thought you have here of like unpopular opinion, but let's look at it in a business sense here that Algiers not going to get a second contract from this team, most likely, if he plays well and gets a bidding war going in free agency. So get something for him now while you can. But I also say you got a good thing going right now. Why shake it up too much? He's been a big part of this offense. So I'm surprised to see how large of a role he is. That definitely caught me by surprise. So I would say hold on to him because you're not going to get Crosby anyway by just tossing in Algier. That's like trying to pull a fast one on your friend in fantasy football. Like, let me toss in my fourth string wide receiver, and now I can get your number one running back. Like, no, it's not going to go down that easily. David, I do appreciate your super chat. Thank you so much. Ty Man the Buck Guy, finally here. Where have you been, Ty Man? Kenneth, where's Kenneth? Trade Penix for Bowers, then Dijon and Pitts for Garrett. Use the you're just playing like Madden right now. Use the Alabama running back Jace McClellan and plenty of time to draft a QB with rebuilding season. Those okay. I don't think the Browns would do Garrett for Bijan and Pitts. They have David Njoku. They like him at tight end. I don't think they would look at Pitts as some massive upgrade. Now, Bijan could be good for them long, but remember, one of the beauties of drafting a running back in round one is getting that 5-year contract of the rookie deal. For the Browns, like that's already getting approached. That's already almost the halfway point. So much of the value has been driven off the lot already. But creative, nevertheless, creative. Okay. Get some more supers. We'll get on out of here, or we'll hang out. Sorry, if not, we'll have to get on out of here. I do appreciate everyone for supporting the channel like you do. David, everyone else.
That's crazy. There's 148 people watching and 143 likes. That's a good ratio.
It's a damn good ratio. It's a good deal. You make that deal, I make that deal. All right. We'll let you guys get. Oh, Girthquake with a $5 super chat. Let's go, Girthquake. We don't need an elite rusher. It's coming. That's what she said. Come on, Girthquake. Come on, Girthquake. Sorry, technical issues. Nothing you guys are doing wrong. There it is. We don't need an elite edge rusher to make the playoffs. We need an elite edge rusher to win the Super Bowl. Reed, let's show the graphic again. I counted by hand for you guys that what Girthquake says here is very true. Look at the NFC Championship sack rankings. You have the winners on the left, the losers on the right. We got 10 teams here. How many of them are just top 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of them were top 5. How many are top 10? 6, 7, 8. 8 out of the 10 were top 10 in sacks. The Falcons, by the way, are 32. So if you want to get to the arena, you have to be better in this pot. Have to be. Girthquake, excellent point by you. Brian's in the chat. Juan, I watch in the mornings on the way to work. Good to know, Juan. Next time I make a video, I'll have to say good morning, Juan, and enjoy your bacon, egg, and cheese.
So, oh no, the bots are here because the Thursday night game.
Oh, the bots. Ty Man, where are you at, Ty Man?
Ty Man, he's here.
Ty Man was here earlier.
Archangel said, "I usually watch when you post the video."
Archangel's a big Noti gang member. He's the president of the Noti Gang Club right now. Girthquake and everyone else for super chatting. Thank you guys so much.
I love Pitts, but I would trade Pitts before I trade Algier. That's from Archangel.
I just think the Falcons are not looking. I know it's fun to, and don't get me wrong, I get caught in this world a lot too. It's fun to talk trades. I don't think that these teams are like the Falcons, who are 4-3, are looking to shake up the locker room by trading away a contributing guy. Like, I don't think this is the best comparison, but wherever you work, if you work in maybe an office setting or a team setting, and there is someone on your team that does a good job that you enjoy having around, and your boss came in and said, yep, we sent that person to Nashua, like, you'd be a little bummed about it, right? To say the least. You're 4-3, you're not thinking, all right, one of our best running backs is about to get dealt right now.
Jonathan Powell's inside the walls.
I watched them before you filmed them, just saying. Jonathan, that's pretty impressive. Jonathan was watching them before we filmed them. He would know that for like an average 12 to 15-minute video, you guys see, let's say, 15 minutes. There's a good 2 to 3 hours, depending on the video. It can vary, of work that goes into making it. So it is a very fun process to, put together a outline of what we want to talk about and things like that. But everything that goes on screen, you could thank Reed for, and the order that it comes in, you kind of thank me for, and then the thumbnail, well, it kind of depends on the video, but you can thank me for. So hopefully, if you like the thumbnails, that's comments I never get. I enjoy the very kind comments about great video stuff like that, but like the thumbnail, I'm not a very good artist, but I try to make some very creative, click-worthy ones.
Yo, Marlon.
Okay.
That's good.
I drive trucks. I watch the moment they drop. Love it. Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. Okay. We will sign off. We'll let you guys get on with your Thursday nights. Enjoy Thursday night football. And I will see you all throughout the week with more videos.